Hi everyone. I don't know if you know me, but if you don't, I am Samantha and I am attempting my first video blog. I want to start a Christian video YouTube channel or anything that I can make videos. Really, I'll be posting this on Facebook and YouTube, and I'll have, if this one is posted on YouTube, then I'll have my Facebook link in the captions, and if this one is posted on Facebook, I'll have my YouTube link in the captions. So, before I start an introduction on myself, I really want to talk about why I feel I'm being called to do a Christian vlog or YouTube channel, whatever I'm going to end up doing. If you read 1 Peter chapter 4 verses 10, sorry, I'm a little nervous. Anyways, so if you read 1 Peter chapter 4 verse 10, each one should use whatever gift he has received to serve others, faithfully administering God's grace in its various forms. So I feel that God has really given me a gift to speak to others, to motivate others, to inspire others. I also feel like my testimony shows really how God's love is just so eternal and He has the power to do anything. And I also really like to study the Word, and I receive a blessing whenever I can teach others or if I can help others understand something. I really love doing Bible studies with other people because I love having their perspective. And then if you read Matthew chapter 28 verse 20, it says, teaching them to observe all things whatsoever I have commanded you. And lo, I am with you always, even until the end of the world. So pretty much that's saying, as Christians, and I consider myself a Christian, as a Christian, it is our job to inform others throughout the world, i.e., anyone we come in contact to, whether it be a stranger on the street or if it's my Facebook friends or YouTube followers, even though I have 0 YouTube followers at this moment. But it's our purpose. God put us here to spread His love. So I think that social media could be an amazing way to do this, because social media has a way to connect to everyone. So that is why I'm really wanting to do these videos. I'm hoping to be able to speak about several different topics, from being a Christian wife to being a Christian mom to just being a Christian. Even if people would like to talk about how I budget things or how I try to follow my commandments, or the struggles that I go with on a daily basis, or how I grocery shop, even simple things like that. I would really like other people's perspectives. So after you watch my video, if you would like to leave a comment, you can ask any question you would like, and if I don't talk to you personally about it, I can definitely post a video about it. Just ask me things or give me advice. I would love that. And I'm not saying I'm all-knowing, because I'm definitely not, and I may not know the answer, but if you have a question, I would love to help you find that answer. Okay, so I would like to start with my story. I was brought up in church ever since I was a baby. I went to church every Sunday. My grandparents were there, my father was there. I was taught the 10 Commandments about Jonah and the whale, Moses and Israel. I was taught that growing up. But I guess I could word it as in saying I never truly would jump both feet in or head first. I don't know how to word it. I just never really would dive in to my relationship with God. And as I got older, if we're being honest, my interest was more in boys than it was about going to church. And I was more involved with school events, and I was more worried about being popular than I was with my relationship with God. And I continued to go down a path that led me to a very dark place in my life. I struggled with depression very bad. I was diagnosed with bipolar depression, and I wasn't walking with God. I partied a lot, and I did things that I'm just not proud of to say that I did. I met my now husband. Not saying he was part of the bad crowd, because he's not. He's amazing. And we were together a little while, and then boom, I got pregnant. So obviously when I told my family about that, them being Christians, they were like, you're not married, and they were a little worried about me, and so was I. But right then, whenever I realized I was pregnant, because I wasn't supposed to be able to have kids or anything like that, but as soon as I found out we were pregnant, I wanted to change my life around. And I still didn't really fully dive in, but I knew I wanted to change, and I knew I had to stop what I was doing. And then one day came, about 8 or 9 weeks. I was 8 or 9 weeks pregnant, and I was packing my stuff up because my now husband, Clayton, and I were moving in together. So I was getting all my stuff ready to move out. And I went into the bathroom and I saw that I was bleeding. And I'm sorry if this is too much information, but there is going to be some detailed information in this video. But I was bleeding, and when you're pregnant, you're not really supposed to be bleeding, and it was a lot of blood. So I came out of the bathroom. I was so scared. My dad was freaking out because he didn't know. I couldn't talk. I said, Dad, I have to go to the hospital. I'm bleeding. I have to go. I have to go. And I eventually convinced him to let me drive myself, and I went to the urgent care. Urgent care said they couldn't see me, so I went to the emergency room, and I sat there for hours. And my dad met me there, and Clayton met me there, and we just sat there for hours and hours and hours. And then we had an ultrasound, and then we waited more hours, and then about 3 a.m. a doctor comes in and tells me I'm miscarrying, and that my daughter has detached, or we didn't know she was a girl, but the baby, the fetus, as he said, detached, and that he would prescribe me medication so that I could pass the fetus. And then I just feel like I kind of broke when I heard that, because no, my husband and I were not planning to have a baby. It's not something that we really were wanting right then, but we had come to terms with it. And then even more, we were happy about it, and we had told people about it, and other people were happy about it. And it was kind of a letdown to know, I couldn't have kids. And then we were like, what? I can't? Okay, I'm pregnant. That's awesome. Now I'm not. So it's kind of sad. But I went home, and I went into my bedroom, and I closed the door, and I cried, and I cried, and I cried. And I got down on my hands and knees, and I prayed like I have never prayed before. I was never more vulnerable. I was never more open with God. I had an open and honest conversation with Him. He already knew everything. I was just there begging. And I laid everything down at His feet. And as I was weeping and crying and begging God, I begged Him. I said I would go through anything. I would go through whatever pain. Please, just God, let me have this. I know You can do miracles. And then all at once, it was like all the stress lifted off of me. And it felt like I was literally being poured over with warm, tingly feelings. And then those tears of sorrow, those tears of anxiety and stress turned into tears of joy. And I knew that everything was going to be okay. And that's when I gave my life over to God. I gave in 100%. And I gave everything over to Him. And I came out the next day. I spoke to my husband, and I talked to my dad. And I told them that I was going to be okay, and that my baby was going to be okay. And I think they kind of thought that I was going a little crazy, but I ended up going to the doctor. So I went to the OBGYN and she was amazed. She called a nurse practitioner. They called other doctors in there because I had my files from the ER, and they were shocked. They were all dumbfounded. They were like, this is quite almost impossible. You are still bleeding, but your fetus detached and reattached in a different spot. And turns out I had a bleeding disorder. So everyone was amazed, but my baby was okay. And she was fine. I was just bleeding internally a little bit. So time passed. I ended up getting hospitalized for several months until the end of my pregnancy on strict bed rest. And throughout this time, I went into labor several times. My water broke at 20 weeks. The doctors told me my daughter would not even live, and if she did, she would have extreme physical and mental issues. I had shots and shots of steroids. I had IVs of antibiotics, of things that they told me would help stop my labor, of all kinds of stuff. And then I gave birth 2 months early to a beautiful baby girl who everyone who knows me knows as Rosebud, or Ellie Rose. While in the hospital, everyone kept saying how surprised they were about my attitude towards the entire situation, and that I had such a good head on my shoulders, and that I was so optimistic. But they didn't see a lot. They didn't see when my husband would go home and I would just bawl crying, or feel the pain of me going into labor over 5 times. And they didn't have to bear the burden of stressing over whether or not my baby would make it. From depression to physical pain, I had a lot of sucky moments, to say the least. I wouldn't change any of it, because not only did God give me a beautiful daughter, but my relationship with God grew. My knowledge about the Bible grew. For the first time in my life, I could understand a verse without having to look at 5 different things. I even got to continue my education online, and I'm on track to graduate with my bachelor's in biological sciences this year. Now, if you were to ask me, or the person I was 3 years ago, if I thought I would be here now with a home, a family, a husband, all that, I would tell you you were crazy. I would also tell you were crazy if you said that I would have this good of a relationship with God. And I mean, I'm just a different person. I'm a different person than I was 30 minutes ago. I'm a different person than I was when that doctor told me that my baby was dying inside of me. I'm a different person. And no matter where you are today, you have that choice to be a different person. You have the choice to have a relationship with God, or a better relationship with God if you already have one. But I'm saved now, all thanks to Christ. I have a beautiful home, a daughter, an amazing husband, a sweet puppy. And don't get me wrong, I'm not perfect, but I'm fighting every single day to be a better Christian and person. And although sometimes I feel like I'm moving 10 steps backwards, I'm not giving up, because I know God has a plan for me. He has a plan for my family, and He has a plan for every person in this world. He put us here for a reason. It's time we come to terms with that and realize we're here for a reason. Let's do what God wants us to do. Let's follow the path that God has laid before us. Let's pray to Him and ask Him to reveal His path to us so we can follow that, and to just trust in God and have faith in God. Because if I wouldn't have just trusted God and had faith, my daughter may not have been here today. I'm probably wouldn't be where I am today, because without God, I'm nothing. God has allowed me to have everything tangible and intangible that I have today. I owe everything to God, and I cannot say or stress that enough, that His mercy and His love is so eternal. and so amazing. And I know it sounds unreal, but it is. It feels unreal. But this is just a piece of my testimony. My journey and my walk with God has just began. And I want others to join in. I want to share His love with others. I want His love to shine through me. And I want His love to impact others. Because this is amazing, and I've never felt this good in my life. And I owe it all to God. So thank you for watching my video. If you would like, you can like, comment. If you want to give me any pointers, I would love that. Or if you have questions for me, you can comment them or personal message me, and we can talk about them in the next video, or if you have topics. But anyways, thank you for watching my video again, whether it was a minute, a few seconds, or the entire thing. And I hope everyone has a blessed day or night.